Next up, we got to talk about how Bitcoin may have been the contributor to the bank runs. Right, yes, literally, crypto may have killed the banks. What an incredible irony that is, because after all, that is maybe not ironic. That's kind of been the point of crypto, is get away from centralized finance, get away from funny money and fiat. But I don't think anybody actually thought that crypto would end up causing bank runs in America. But that's exactly what's happening. And if you need to protect yourself at home with the Needler, metkevin.com/Needler or the link down below. And if you're on the receiving end of this, get life insurance by going to metkevin.com/life. You can get it as little as 5 minutes, and Apple or Android pay for it. So what do we got? Well, first of all, we know that the Justice Department is now investigating some sus stock sales at Silicon Valley Bank by executives, but what's more actually interesting is what happened with Signature Bank and how that relates to Silvergate and Silicon Valley Bank. Get this. So Silvergate, which was a bank in New York, was frequently considered, quote, a place of ambition, not prestige. And what's really interesting is how they went from basically a bank doing deals for people like Donald Trump, cab owners, and quote unquote slumlords, they were saying, to crypto. Now, they've been always trying to figure out how could they grow? What's the best way for them to grow? In fact, one of the big ways they tried growing at Signature Bank was doing loans for taxi companies. Unfortunately, they made those loans right before the pandemic. They also made a lot of loans for Donnie T. Donald Trump and the Kushners were frequently questioned about their relations with Signature Bank. Signature Bank ended up dropping them as clients, closing about $5.3 million worth of deposit accounts that Trump and Kushner ended up having over at Signature Bank. This bank has had a lot of drama and a lot of backlash from both sides. Even the Democrat Letitia James, who's the New York public advocate, or then public advocate, she's got another job. She's still over there, obviously. But anyway, she ended up calling this bank the city's worst landlord, or actually they put the bank on the city's worst landlord. And the reason for that was not that Signature Bank actually owns properties, but they do so many loans to office and apartment building landlords that they basically called this bank such a bad bank because they enable bad landlords to own buildings that don't provide for basic living conditions. That doesn't sound good. So Signature Bank's got some pretty interesting history when it comes to Trumps, the Kushners, taxi companies right before the pandemic, landlords for office and apartment buildings. But this is where things took a shift. In 2015, the Winklevoss brothers, Gemini Exchange, got one of New York's first licenses to run a cryptocurrency exchange brokerage. That means you go to Gemini, you're like, oh yeah, I will give you $1,000 of cash. Please give me your Gemini token so I could go buy Bitcoin or crypto or whatever, right? Guess where that cash went? Signature. So, Signature Bank ended up taking crypto clients, not just Gemini, but they ended up taking on Coinbase and Circle as well. At one point, Coinbase had about $240 million at Signature Bank, and Paxos, which also provides a stable coin, a USD-based style stable coin, Paxos ended up having about $250 million in deposits at Signature. So basically, Signature was basically the way that people would deposit cash and then get crypto. The exchanges, whether it's Paxos, Coinbase, Circle, Gemini, or sort of what you see. But when you put your money in, the cash went to go sit at Signature in many cases. So there's a chance if you've used one of those platforms, there's a chance your cold hard cash was sitting at Signature Bank. And this bank brought in tens of billions of deposits. Tens of billions, that's a lot of money. They were able to bring in tens of billions of dollars during the crypto boom. They made lots of money during the crypto boom, a whole heck of a lot of money. And they made so much money that unfortunately when things started flip-flopping in the crypto market in 2022, they started seeing exactly the opposite happen. But it wasn't just Signature. Take a look at quarter-on-quarter changes in total deposits at these banks. Look at some of these names right here. Oh, sorry, quick note, if you want to change your perspective on how to build wealth and actually make money with stocks, real estate, your job, your side hustle, your self-employed gig, whatever it is, property management, rental properties. If you have fears about thinking the system's rigged and you don't know how to navigate through the system, consider joining me in any of the programs linked down below on Building Your Wealth. Not only do you get access to me with Q&A and our course member live stream, I can provide a lot of perspective to you, but you get lifetime access to the courses. The cost of the courses goes up over time, so the sooner you join, the more you lock in a lower price now, and you get a price match guarantee in the event the price, for whatever reason, were lower in the future, although we don't expect that. We expect prices to only trend up as we continue to add value. And so you want to lock that in now with only upside ahead of you with more content and protection against any downside. Folks, check out those programs on Building Your Wealth. While I am a licensed financial advisor, I've got a real estate startup that's raised over $25 million, and we're coming up with another fundraising round with our Reg A. We are super excited to have you in those courses. I want to be clear, none of the information is personalized financial advice because I don't specifically know your situation, but I think you're going to get some pretty incredible information that'll help guide you on the way to wealth. Use that St. Paddy's Day link down below. Quarter-on-quarter total changes in deposits. Q1, you had Silvergate, also a crypto-related on-ramp bank, lost about 6.3% of deposits in Q1. Signature and SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, were still gaining. By the second quarter, almost all of them were losing deposits, with the exception of Silvergate, slightly flat there. And by the fourth quarter, the deposit withdrawals here were massive. Deposit changes massively negative. And a lot of this, many say, had to do with the crypto market slowing down. As the crypto market slowed down, less people invested into crypto. As less people invested into crypto, people also had less, and crypto prices were falling, people also had less money to invest into venture capital or other businesses. They were losing money in the stock market. Long and short of it, what ended up happening? Well, while Silvergate ended up having billions of dollars of deposits, especially, for example, $1.5 billion of deposits in the first 2 months alone of 2022, they plummeted to all of a sudden seeing massive withdrawals. In fact, at one point, they were collecting nearly as much as 3 times as many deposits from crypto as they were from regular depositors. That actually ended up leading some entrepreneurs to argue they didn't want to do business with a bank that has basically become a crypto bank. Because again, the bank at one point was taking in $3 of crypto deposits for every $1 of actually what made the bank notable, working for entrepreneurs and landlords, for example. But all of these industries obviously got hit. We know taxis got hit. We know, thanks to Uber and Lyft, we know crypto got hit. We know apartment buildings and landlords and commercial landlords have all gotten hit. Mortgage-backed securities are getting crushed. And now all of a sudden, hundreds of millions of dollars started getting pulled out of the bank as it seemed like the bank was potentially running out of money last week. And that led them to fall into FDIC receivership on Sunday. Now, part of the reason Signature Bank was seized was because of what they called a crisis of confidence. That's what regulators said. A lot of people in the industry say, no, the bank was actually seized because it was a crypto bank. And whatever they can do to punish banks that were related to crypto is what they wanted to do. And it's kind of interesting because Silvergate was a crypto bank, Signature was a crypto bank, and even though Silicon Valley Bank wasn't technically a crypto bank, it did provide loans to startups in the crypto space. And guess what? All 3 of them failed. We now have the 2 biggest bank failures that have happened since 2008's WAMU failure in just the last week. These are pretty big banks that failed, and they happened in just the last week, and all 3 of these, 2 of them being some of the larger 2, but all 3 of them happen to be involved in crypto. Now, to show you the scope of kind of where these failures are on the time frame, it's worth looking at this this bubble chart over here. And really, it shows you, here's Washington Mutual's bank failure bubble chart, shows you kind of how big the bubble is, right? And then you could kind of see how big the bubbles are of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank based on how many assets they have under management. So it's a pretty big deal, but it's very interesting that crypto almost somewhat feels like the virus that is killing its host from within. Think about that for a moment. Crypto goes in and gets money from banks or deposits money with banks. Crypto, in the whole point of crypto is to get away from banks and fiat money, right? And the more crypto deposits there were, the more at risk of collapse these banks actually became. Some articles and authors, like over on Bloomberg, are now suggesting that, quote, the crypto bros are getting pushed to the brink of banklessness. But it kind of makes you wonder, is it almost crypto becoming more valuable and more brilliant by being associated with banks, killing their hosts, the banks, sending people into more of a fear tailspin around banks and potentially into crypto? It's kind of brilliant. Now, whether it's orchestrated or not, look at what Bitcoin is doing on Webull. By the way, if you want to sign up for Webull, they're doing a 12 free stock offer right now. Just go to metkevin.com/free or click the link down below. That's metkevin.com/free. But anyway, take a look at this. Since the banking crisis was resolved with an unlimited bailout, crypto has exploded over about 25% here from about 1950 to 24.9, or at least Bitcoin over here. Bitcoin, huge recipient of this recovery here. You've got Ethereum still sitting around nearly 1,700, also a nice bounce here. Of course, a lot of people bag on crypto and say, hey, you know what, crypto is just another risk asset. But I do think it's really interesting that the three banks that were really associated with crypto all just happened to be deleted, or in receivership, should I say, while at the same time reiterating the whole purpose of Bitcoin and crypto. It's kind of brilliant. Now, of course, there were other things that led to the potential failure of these banks. Remember, the government is saying, well, Signature failed because they were supposed to give us reliable and consistent data. We didn't end up getting that from executives on Sunday morning. They lost 20% of their deposits just Friday alone. It's worth noting that Bank of America is bragging about how $15 billion has gone to Bank of America and how excited they are about how much money has gone to Bank of America. But it kind of makes you wonder how much of a Trojan horse crypto has become to actually eating the banking system alive from within. Kind of incredible. So anyway, that's very interesting about yes, as Alvaro here says, that's a very interesting theory about crypto. I hate to say it, but it's very interesting to me. This is the smartest Meet Kevin take I have heard in like 5 years. I don't know if that's a compliment. And then of course somebody else replies here, love me some gold. All right, very well. So there you have a crypto update. Okay. All right. What else do we want? Oh, boy. This is fun. All right. So, next, how about we talk about the Russian jet? Yeah. Oh, God.